Hi, I'm going to show you how to build the 64 grid tetrahedron. This is the tetrahedron. It is composed of 4 faces, 4 points, and 6 edges. This is the octahedron. It is composed of 8 faces, 6 points, and 12 edges. And with this, we're able to create the entire structure. Actually fairly easily and simply. This is the entire 64 grid tetrahedron. It has 256 triangles, 64 tetrahedron, hence the name, and it is also composed of 8 star tetrahedron. One star tetrahedron is one of these corners. If I remove it, this is one star tetrahedron, and it is made of 32 triangles and 8 tetrahedron. If you connect these points of any kind, it actually just makes a face of a cube. Like this is a face, and this is one. And it just creates an entire cube. This also creates the egg of life as well. That is another representation. This is more of the female version of the tetrahedron, and I have a model right here as well that I made. This is the exact same thing as this, except this is the male version. And if we were to cut it in half and flip it over, what you will see on the inside is that there's actually an octahedron. All on the inside, nicely snug and hidden away. So then, if we flip this over and place this on top, we get the vector equilibrium. Alright, so this is the cube octahedron. It is made up of 8 triangles and 6 squares. Now, what's funny about this is that if you were to go from every single point and go all the way across to the other side on every single vector, it would still create this exact same shape as the vector equilibrium. But what the vector equilibrium shows me is that they're not squares, they are just triangles and then inverted triangles. And that's the important difference between the cube octahedron and the vector equilibrium. So when you have it on your side like this, it also is a representation of the atoms, the atom symbol that would go across. Like, let's say that it was going across here, and then it was going across here and around this belt. You would have that rotational atom system. It would work the same way here. It just, this has the appearance of having a more complete model of it. And again, this is just composed of 8 tetrahedron. And if we make 4 of these, if we make 8 star tetrahedron, we get the entire 64 grid. This is what it looks like with just one of the pieces missing. So there's 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then this would be the 8th. We'll just put this right back, and now we have the full 64 grid again as well. Turn on the light behind here. If we're viewing this grid face on, where we just see the point and it's spreading out, we shouldn't be able to look through it, but This is able to because the points on the triangles are rounded out. But if we look at it head on, we can actually see that there's multiple layers. And with all those layers, we can look right through it. And that's where you get your depth from. We can look and shift our point of view or perspective over to any one of these sections and see that you can look right through it. Now, another way you can view it is shift it where one of the faces is facing you, like if you were to imagine a square face that was here, that's how you would be viewing it. Then you can also view it on a top-down angle and still see right through it as well, which is able to show you the light that's on the other side of it. And again, it can show you all the different layers and everything that's right in between. It's so elegantly simple, and yet it took so much work for us to get here. Now, one of the really interesting things is that if I take off these corners off of every one of these, place those on the side, and then I remove the middle portion here as well, we are still left with, there's these two, and then we're left with another octahedron. Once we remove the octahedron, then we start to form essentially a double layered vector equilibrium. And if I were to do this on every single face of these and got rid of all the corners, what we're left with after removing those pieces, we now have a double layered vector equilibrium. And with the pieces that were removed and then transferred, I was then able to make either 3 tetrahedrons, star tetrahedrons, or 3 vector equilibriums, but I decided to make both models just for this example. But I could have essentially made any other one of these. But I was perfectly left with enough to make 3, interestingly enough. Now, I showed you how to take apart the pieces to get the vector equilibrium, but there's also a way to take away pieces to get the star tetrahedron just right away. That is, if I remove these ones. Basically, from each one of these points, you take away the bottom 2, or like from any of these points, you just take away these 2. Now, because of the way that this is structured, it's going to be fully filled out in the middle, rather than having that octahedron. I mean, the octahedron is still there, the double layered one, but due to how this is built, all those pieces are still going to be there. That makes sense. So with this, you just remove these ones. And you actually want to keep this. You basically want to keep the centers. You want to keep the centers of what the vector equilibrium what you would have taken out for the vector equilibrium. You want to keep those and whatnot. And as you can see, it's starting to form the star tetrahedron. Yeah. So the double layered tetrahedron, which is just one of these chunks, it is composed of 4 tetrahedrons and 1 octahedron. And for how the tetrahedron works, one of the faces or the tetrahedron or octahedron are actually shared, so you wouldn't be able to split them apart and have individualized pieces, but this would essentially still be 4 tetrahedron with 1 octahedron. And how that works, how the math works out is there's 20 triangles, and the way that numerology works is you want to reduce down to its root digit by adding up every number to itself, and then for every even number you want to reduce until it's down to 1. Essentially, if it's even, it'll reach down to 1. So 2 plus 0 equals 2, divided by 2 equals 1. 4 divided by 2 equals 2, divided by 2 equals 1. And then there's just 1 octahedron. And for timesing it by 8 for this entire structure, it comes down to 160 triangles. Well, 1 plus 6 plus 0, but I did not write the 0 down, equals 7. 3 plus 2 equals 5. 8 reduces down to 1 again. And for this up here is for 1 star tetrahedron or for 1 vector equilibrium. The math works out the same for both, because they're both using the same structural integrity. And for the triangles, it's 32 triangles, and that's 3 plus 2 equals 5. And then for the tetrahedron, there's only 8 tetrahedron, so it's 8 divided by 2 equals 4, divided by 2 equals 2, divided by 2 equals 1. And then if we times that by 3, because of the amount that we were left with, we were able to make 3 star tetrahedrons or 3 vector equilibriums. For the amount of tetrahedrons, that comes out to 24. So 2 plus 4 equals 6, divided by 2 equals 3. And then we have 96 triangles. So 9 plus 6 equals 15, which comes out to 1 plus 5 equals 6, divided by 2 equals 3. And now, if I flip this over, I will have a, oops, let's not, there we go. I will now have a double layered star tetrahedron, and there was a double layered octahedron that's in the middle of this as well.